Hello and welcome to the Homemade Songwriter. I'm Matt, and today I want to take a deep dive into our system for ensuring that you're writing great songs, the Litmus test. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, then I encourage you to go check out the video that Austin made about what the Litmus test is, but it's basically 3 questions that you run your song through to ensure that it's strong. Is your song lyrically interesting? Does your song have a thematic melody? And does your song utilize universal storytelling? Now, this is going to be a 3-part series, so be sure to keep an eye out for the next 2 parts, but in this video we're just going to take a look at that first question, the first 2 letters. Is your song lyrically interesting? I'm going to try to break down what it means to have a song that's lyrically interesting and hopefully provide some tips and tricks that you can utilize in your next song. So, what makes for interesting lyrics? I'm going to touch on 3 strategies in this video, and the first one is to find an emotional angle in your lyric. When I write songs, I want something that's going to pull on the emotions of my listener. I want people to feel something when they listen to my songs. So if I told you to write a song called Leaves, what angle would you take to ensure that your song is not just a song about a piece of nature, but is actually something interesting that the listener is going to connect with? Maybe your song would be a love story that takes place over time and from spring to fall. It leads to a lyric where the singer says something like, "Just like the leaves, I've fallen for you." Cheesy, but that's one option. Maybe it's just a song about change and growth, but either way, there's an emotional angle that your listener is going to be much more likely to connect with than just leaves. They are on trees and they fall off trees. What song is that? And that title is kind of a silly example, but it kind of gets us in the mindset of, okay, here's what my song is about. Here's my thesis. Here's my title. What angle can I take to make sure this is something that connects with people? And I find the best way to practice this strategy is to start with a song title, kind of like I did with that last 1-hour song challenge video. So check your list of titles of songs that you want to write, which, by the way, pro tip, you should have one of those. You should always have some kind of note on your phone or page in your songwriting journal where you're constantly writing down potential song titles based on things you hear in a show or in a conversation you have with a friend. That way, when you sit down to write, you have some kind of starting place, even if it's just a song title. So grab that song title list or maybe a random book or a random word generator and start to brainstorm how you can turn those words into an impactful lyric. So for example, let's say you had the following song titles: Coffee, Upside Down, and Front Door. Perhaps the song Coffee is a song about loss. So you could tell the story of 2 people who always shared a cup of coffee, and that's their main way that they interacted and grew to know each other and love each other. And then when one person died, that person still pours a cup of coffee every time they have one. That's pretty deep, but that's kind of an emotional take on just the word coffee. I dug down below the surface and found a story. Upside Down could be a story about young love and how on a date they went to the local fair and went on the Ferris wheel and shared their first kiss, and then just like a roller coaster, their world was turned upside down. And Front Door could be a song about an old house and just pondering the people and the lives and the stories that exist just beyond that old front door. Now, these certainly aren't the only options for what these song titles could be about. Maybe some of these wouldn't even work very well as songs, but the point is to use your imagination and dig deep and tell the story that you see in the words. Just below the surface meaning of the words exists an entire world that you can share with the listener. So use your imagination and tell the story that you see. If you want some help here, then check out the description for our 30 songwriting prompts to jumpstart your creativity guide. It's literally exactly this. It's 30 songwriting prompts. Some of them are titles, some of them are phrases or whatever. But it's like the perfect way to put this into practice. And it's free, so just grab it. You got nothing to lose. Now, another tip and the second strategy I want to talk about to make your lyrics more interesting is to utilize small everyday moments from your life to spruce up your main idea. There's always a new way to tell the same story, and no one can tell that story like you can because only you are you. Only you have lived your life with your experiences to be able to tell and communicate that story in the way that only you can. You see the world in a unique way simply because you're you. So let's take the songwriting thesis. I'm sad because I just broke up with my boyfriend or girlfriend. That is just plainly not as interesting of a lyric as I can't go anywhere in my city because everywhere I go reminds me of you. Now that second lyric is just more interesting, and there's even more to explore lyrically. For example, you could spend each verse going to a different place in the city, and it's just more vulnerable because you're able to insert more of your life experience into the song. And that's true even if you aren't going through a breakup at that exact moment. Sometimes you just need to follow the story of the song, because maybe you sit down to write a song and a breakup song is what's coming out, but you aren't going through a breakup. But what pieces of a breakup are you going through? Loneliness? Are you just sad, isolation, the wishing for things past? Follow what the song needs. I pulled a lot of this second strategy from Andrea Stolpe, so be sure to check her out. She's a songwriting professor at Berkeley. Now, she talks about one way to grow this skill of utilizing these small moments of your life to insert vulnerability and relatability in your songs is to spend time writing and journaling every day about just small moments in your life. I changed a flat tire on my car. I went through some mail and found an old letter. Anything. Just spend time writing, journaling, and telling these little stories in your life so that when you go to write your songs, you have a little nest of all these small moments in your life that maybe you can use to reinforce the main thesis of your song in a new and interesting way. And I would use the realness of those small moments in conjunction with the third strategy, which is to use metaphors. Now, we've talked about this a little bit before in the Stop This Train video, but using metaphors in your lyrics just makes them inherently more interesting because it engages the listener to begin comparing two things in their mind as you sing about them. This causes them to engage and it draws them in, and they begin to even pull from their own life experience and comparing those things, which puts themselves into your story. Metaphors also create space for interesting lyrics in the way of cleverness or play on words. Interesting turns of phrase that can land like a joke. A setup and a punchline can really hit hard when it's paired with the right melody behind it. So there you have it, 3 ways to make your lyrics more interesting. Take the emotional angle, use little moments of your life to add realism, and metaphors. Let us know in the comments which of these 3 are you already using in your songs and which ones are you going to try in your next song. If you got any value out of this video, please like it and subscribe for more videos on songwriting, including the next 2 parts of this series. And don't forget to grab the creativity guide in the description below. Alright, that's it for this one. Keep writing lyrically interesting songs and we'll see you in the next one.